Good morning, magandang umaga po. Kumusta na kayong lahat? We are going to talk today about a follow-up to the previous episode that I had regarding your importation of used motor vehicle to the Philippines when you go back home. I received a lot of questions about vans, recreational vehicles, motorcycles, new, used, foreigner, etc. And I just want to clarify these points. And that's what we'll be talking about. Okay? So hang loose and stay with me. As I mentioned, I received several questions which sort of opened my eyes to a lot of the other scenarios that I really did not address in my previous episode regarding your importation of your motor vehicle to the Philippines. And thank you very much for those people who asked the question, and this will hopefully clarify that. And I will again put it in a PowerPoint presentation to make sure it's clear, and I'll be back. So let's move on. Bringing your motorcycle, van, recreational vehicle to the Philippines. Can anyone bring motor vehicle into the country? Yes, the importation of brand new motor vehicle of all types, including motorcycles, have been liberalized and will no longer require prior authorization to import, PAI. However, only returning Filipinos or residents and foreign diplomats are permitted to import motor vehicles. By this, it eliminates foreigners. Foreigners cannot bring any motor vehicle into the country. There's one exception, and I will get to that. Brand new motor vehicles. Under the guidelines presently awaiting approval by the Office of the President, a motor vehicle is brand new if and only if the following criteria are satisfied: that the motor vehicle is of current or advanced year model. Okay, maybe slightly advanced, because if it's 2020, by about November, December, it'll be 2021. So maybe that's what they mean by advanced. B, it has never been registered or used. And C, it is covered by a certificate of first ownership. So that's a fairly simple common sense definition. But again, this is still pending in the Office of the President for approval. Now, used vehicles on the other. Oh, by the way, let's talk about the new vehicle. Unless the vehicle is something you really love and something you really cannot get in the Philippines, well, then bring in brand new. But most of the time, the reason what I'm talking about here is used vehicles is people want to bring in their vehicles so they don't have to buy a brand new one. Okay, but if you're buying a brand new one, buy it in the Philippines. Again, if you cannot get it in the Philippines, fine, you go ahead and pay the tax. And paying the tax is not a problem. Okay, you will know, hopefully ahead of time, how much tax you're going to pay. And if you're willing to shoulder that, that's fine. But then you have the other issue of the complication, all the documentation. And when you get to the Philippines, are you going to be harassed? Are they going to be asking for a bribe? You know, that's just the reality of it. And me personally, I will not want to be bothered with it. Now, let's talk about the majority of my viewers here. We're talking about used vehicles. Now, if brought by qualified individuals only, and we'll talk about who's qualified, I discussed that in my previous video, and which shall be duly covered by prior authority to import. Now, you will need a PAI, prior authority to import, from the Bureau of Import Services, and that can only be obtained in the Philippines. So while you're here, you'll have to be communicating to the Philippines to get this PAI before you leave. As discussed in previous episode, only the following are qualified and allowed to bring used vehicle. Number one, a returning Filipino or a former Filipino citizen who has stayed abroad for more than a year. Two, an immigrant to the Philippines shall be at least a holder of 13G visa. This is for Filipinos who who do not want to get their dual citizenship and instead just want, say, an immigrant visa. Okay. Also, this was not in this article that I wrote. I mean, I read about this particular issues. They did not mention 13A visa, but I know straight from the immigration office, a 13A visa issued to a foreigner married to a Filipina will qualify to bring used vehicle. All right. Also, only one motor vehicle per family is allowed. 2, the vehicle is registered in his name for at least 6 months prior to shipment to the Philippines. And 3, proof can be presented that the vehicle was acquired out of earnings abroad. Now, if you really think about all these things that you have to do, all the paperwork you have to do, I would, I'd love to bring my car to the Philippines, but I don't think I'll do it. I don't think I'll do it. It's too much hassle. Now, motorcycle, and I receive a lot of questions about this. How are motorcycles covered? How about a yacht, a boat, a recreational vehicle, van, for example? They are considered motor vehicle for this purpose and will be subject to payment of taxes and duties, just like a regular car. Restrictions on the motor vehicle that may be brought in, whether brand new or not, the motor vehicle should be left-hand drive. So if you have a right-hand drive, you're coming from the UK, don't worry about it. It will not pass. 2, the vehicle should have a gross vehicle weight not exceeding 3 tons. Now, I don't know if this will apply to auto vans, boats, and recreational vehicle because this weight limitation I saw, this weight limitation was specifically stated for OFWs who are coming home with vehicles. OFWs. And most OFWs probably will not have vans, boats, or recreational vehicles. They'll overseas temporarily to do some work, and then they come home periodically, and maybe they use a car and they want to bring this car home, and most likely they'll be under 3 tons. Okay, so, but I put this in here just so you can look into it. If you have such a vehicle and you're thinking of bringing them home. It should come with a certificate of authority to import, which is issued by the Bureau of Import Services. Now, again, this may not be required for new motor vehicle if proposal is approved by the President. So, look at it this way: if it's a new vehicle, which is seldom done by foreigners, not foreigners, but former Filipinos who are coming back home, coming back to the Philippines, probably it's going to be a used vehicle. Probably it's going to be a used vehicle. Now, if they have a new one or not too old one, or a brand new one as defined here, meaning they will buy something new for purpose of bringing it to the Philippines, it just doesn't make sense. But for some people, it makes sense, so they will do it, okay? So this makes a distinction now between new and used, and some of the questions I receive about motorcycle, now that's fairly common in the Philippines. Boats, yachts, recreational vehicle, those are not common in the Philippines, okay? But if you have that, that's one of your passion in the United States or in Europe, by all means, that is what will apply here. But my suggestion is to communicate with the Bureau of Import Services and verify everything that I'm saying, because maybe I'm lying. Of course not, but maybe these things could change overnight. It could change. So make sure you verify everything. But this gives you the ammunition as to what questions you need to ask.
As you can see, foreigners are not allowed to bring cars to the Philippines. There is one exception to this, and I will mention that, and I mentioned that earlier, about 13A visa holders, and those are foreigners who are married to a Filipina or a Filipino citizen. They will be allowed to bring vehicle for the family. Other than that, just buy whatever you need, a car, motorcycle, or whatever in the Philippines. I had someone who asked me a question about he wants to bring in cars that are going to be assembled. So basically what he's saying is he has parts only and will be assembled in the Philippines. I don't know about that. So the best thing for you to do is to contact the appropriate office in the Philippines and determine that before you make a move. Because my feeling is this really is a benefit being given to Filipino citizens. The only exception, not citizens, I'm talking about former Filipinos, whether you're a citizen or not. So if you're a Filipino citizen working abroad but continue to maintain your citizenship, you can bring home stuff. If you lost your citizenship, you can bring home some stuff, okay, because you were a former Filipino. So basically, if you're an American citizen, with one exception, you will not be allowed, not American citizen, I'm talking about a foreigner, okay, with no connection whatsoever to the Philippines, with the exception of one, as I mentioned, you will not be allowed to bring in goods to the Philippines. You just have to retire, go to the Philippines, and buy whatever you need in the Philippines. The one exception is, as I said, if you're getting married to a Filipina, that's going to be covered by 13A visa. So that's the only exception I saw. And I still did not see, with this additional research that I did not see anything there about 5 years. Now, 5-year-old cars. Now, I saw some on 2 websites, but these are like commercial websites. They're selling moving stuff to the Philippines, and obviously when they're movers, they're not only moving stuff to the Philippines, they're moving to other countries as well. So they have a provision there regarding what are the laws in those countries, and they just simply were not able to update their website, okay? But the information I got is direct from the Philippine immigration, and they're not worried about Argentina, Brazil, Europe. They're focused on their particular jurisdiction. In fact, one site I found was from the consulate office in Argentina, okay? But Philippines is Philippines, whether you're coming from Japan or coming from the US or Argentina, it'll be the same. It's a Philippine law, okay? The only exception is, for example, now in China, there may be some benefits or privileges that they're offering to the US, but not to China or not to North Korea. That's a good exemption from the rule that I just mentioned. Okay, so I hope you learned something from this video. If you please share it with other Filipinos or other foreigners that are friends of yours who may benefit from this video. And I'll appreciate it if you could subscribe to my channel. That will help me a lot. Thank you so much, and make it a great day.